Well, this happened after the Israelites moved out of Egypt and they were on their way to the promised land. And it went something like this. So they came out of Egypt and found themselves on the hills of Moab. And they began to camp out across the Jordan River away from the city of Jericho. Well, the king of Moab, whose name was Balak, saw how many of them there were. And he'd heard what they had done to the Amorites. Well, they'd wiped them out. And so the king of Moab was frightened, and all of Moab with him. So they went to their allies, the Midianites, who were close by, and said, "This bunch that's come out of Egypt, they're a dangerous bunch. Look how many of them there are, and we don't have the strength to defeat them. If we're not careful, they will destroy everything in their path. They're like bulls grazing in the fields." And so, this is what Balak decided to do. He sent some of his messengers to a prophet named Balaam, who's the son of Beor, who was living in a town in the upper Euphrates. And he sent them with this message: "Balaam, I need your help. There's this group that's come out of Egypt, and they're just too strong. They're dangerous. There's too many of them. So if we're not careful, they will wipe us out. So I want you to come and put a curse on them, because I know that whoever you bless, they're successful, but whoever you curse, they will fail. And I just want to run them off." And so Balaam told the messengers that had come, "Well, spend the night here, and I will consult the Lord about this." And so in the night, God said to Balaam, "So, who are these people who are spending the night in your house?" "Oh," said Balaam, they're some messengers from the king of Moab, Balak, and it seems that a group has come out of Egypt, and he thinks they're very strong, too strong for him to defeat. So he wants me to go and put a curse on them so that they'll go on their way." God said, "Don't you dare put a curse on those people. Those that have come out of Egypt, I have blessed them. So don't you go doing that. Don't go with these messengers." "Hmm? Okay," says Balaam. So the next morning he gets up and he tells the messengers, "You got to go on back home because the Lord says I shouldn't go with you." And so the messengers went back and they reported to Balak what Balaam had said, that he wasn't coming. Oh, this this was very frustrating to Balak. So he says, "Go back and give him this message." So he gathered together some officials that were even more important than the officials that went before, and he brought some Midianites in, and he sent them with this message and said, "Balaam, I'm willing to pay you whatever you want, whatever you ask. I, I, I will offer you, I will offer you whatever you want. So look, just come and put a curse on them, please." And so the messengers went back to Balaam, and they told him what the king has said. And Balaam said, "Even if Balak would offer me a palace full of silver or gold, I will not disobey what the Lord has said. But in the night I will consult with God to see if God has changed his mind. So that night, sure enough, Balaam consults with the Lord. And the Lord says, all right, go with the messengers, but you must say and do whatever it is I tell you to do. So, in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and went to Moab with the messengers. Now, on the way, God seems to have changed his mind because now God is angry that Balaam was going with the messengers. So he sent an angel to stand in the road and to stop them. And when the donkey saw the angel in the middle of the road, standing there with a sword blocking their way, the donkey just went over into an open field off the road. And to get the donkey back on the road, Balaam had to beat him with a stick. So now the donkey's on the road, and the angel moves even closer. Now the angel is standing in a narrow path between two vineyards, and there's stone walls on each side. So the donkey, trying to get around the angel, scrapes Balaam's foot against one of the walls. And that caused Balaam to beat the donkey again. So now the angel has no choice but to move even closer into a narrower place. Now there's no room for even the donkey to get around. So the donkey lies down in the road, and Balaam loses his temper and takes a stick and smacks the donkey again. Finally, the Lord gives the donkey the power to speak. And this is what the donkey says. Why are you beating me like this? What have I done to deserve this kind of treatment? Balaam says, well, you made me look stupid, that's what. But, says the donkey, you're my owner. And you have ridden me many times. Now, have I ever done anything like this before? No, says Balaam. And then the Lord allowed Balaam to see the angel that was right there in front of him, standing there with the sword. And when Balaam saw the angel, he bowed down low. And the angel said, you should not have treated your donkey in this way. It was me that was trying to stop you from going to Moab. If it hadn't been for the donkey, I would have taken my sword and killed you and spared the life of this beast. Oh, said Balaam, I thought you wanted me to go to Moab. If you don't want me to go to Moab, I won't. I'll just turn around right now and go home. Says the angel, no. You can go on to Moab. I just want to remind you to do whatever I tell you and to say what I want you to say. Yes, all right, says Balaam. So he mounts the donkey and off they go to Moab. Now the story ends there, but what I can tell you happens next is that Balak is so happy to see Balaam. He offers him riches and power and influence. But instead of placing a curse on the Israelites, as Balak wanted him to do. He blesses them 3 times, which displeased Balak very much. But that's what often happens when you speak the truth to power. It's very disappointing, but it's what it means to be faithful to the word that God has given you. And that's the story of Balaam and the talking donkey.